Welcome to my platform. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your location or anytime you are meeting this video on YouTube. And if you like what I do here, please, after watching, subscribe, put on your notification bell, set it to all notifications so that you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. In this platform, we react to all forms of video. What we do before putting the video, analyze it, and we sit down there to watch it together with you. Then later we'll come to the comment section to talk about it. Of course, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, but let us always do it constructively in the comment section. Like you can see, this is my t-shirt, this is my merchandise. If you like this,
politics means that the next president of the country should come from the South. My guest also says whichever group or region that will be must speak to the other groups and achieve a consensus. The National Assembly has been quite busy in the run-up to 2023. They've made some amendments to the Electoral Act. But the headline ones were the ones that talked about electronic voting and electronic transmission of results. They went one way, particularly the Senate, and then they reversed themselves subsequently. Do you believe, as some people say or have said, that perhaps this is because they have seen the advantage to which they can put this new system, which is why they reversed themselves?
Well, if somebody has taken a position and for one reason or another subsequently change his position, there must be consideration that led him to change that position. What it is, I don't know. But certainly some of them brought that to their attention or the attention of their colleagues of something which made them to convince their colleagues to change, because there are a large number of people. If you put the two houses together, over 500. To convince them, it must be an argument that is easy to sell. So what I know for sure is that the second position is an afterthought. The original position was their real position, but the second one is an afterthought.
A lot of those who had the initial position that you mentioned talked about, and even when the NCC was brought to the National Assembly to talk about the feasibility of this, large parts of the North are said to be off-grid, off-network. It's difficult to get reliable network service in many parts, outside the cities particularly. And that was the fear of quite a number of the northern representatives, both in the Senate and in the House, that if they approved this and they said this was the method of operation, that might put some of their citizens in at a disadvantage. Do you
Which is a plausible argument, in my opinion, because it's about people, election. If a large number of people would be excluded, it's not complete. So it's a good idea if it is this that drive their attention to change the position. And I think if it is, then it's for the national interest.
Let me come to the nitty-gritty of the politics that is being played now. You're one of the most prominent northern elders. And it is said that when things like this happen or are happening, when you have national events such as what is coming up in 2023, there are meetings between you and your colleagues in the North, and to decide as a group, as a bloc, what is the position, what you're going to do. But it looks as if this time is not as straightforward as it used to be in the past. There are a bit of complications in the matter. A northern president is just ending his tenure, or will be ending his tenure then, after 8 years. And there's the principle of rotation and the principle of zoning. Those two are now part of our politics. But they are complicating matters now, it would appear, because so many people have differing positions. What do you think the position of the North will be based on?
Well, a number of Northerners that I was privileged to talk to in a conversation about next election, they seem to believe that it is our responsibility that we got Buhari into power this time around. And therefore, we must be prepared to accept the consequences of our action. And therefore, to keep this country one is of paramount importance. And therefore, we can't be ruling all the time. And therefore, they believe that whether we like it or not, this is the time to give our compatriots from the South support to produce the next president for this country. And I'm one of them.
There's a difference between being the king and being a kingmaker. But even among kingmakers, there are different objectives. I remember being told that if, as you say, it is time for the South to have its turn at the presidency, that is not to say the North will have no say or will play no part in who is to be produced by the South. One of your colleagues has told me already that if they bring someone from any region in the South who we don't think is going to protect our interests, we will say no.
Well, politics is about interest, no doubt about it. Whoever you are going to support, you have at the back of your mind your interest. And therefore his position to your interest will matter, will come into focus in your consideration. So I'm not in a position to doubt the position you mentioned by somebody, but I think by and large the position is that next time should be a Southern president or a president from the South by large number of, influential people in the North.
If that is the case, in 1998-99, when the military was handing over to the current democratic civilian government, the northern position was, as you just enumerated again, that, okay, for stability purposes, for recompensation purposes, the South, and not just the South, the Southwest should be allowed to produce the president. And this was followed through to the end. The election essentially was between two Southwest candidates. But the North still had a hand in choosing the person who eventually became the president because the North said they could trust General Obasanjo based on his antecedents. So even though he wasn't as popular in the Southwest, because of the numbers that the North could muster, he emerged president. Do you foresee that kind of situation now, even if it is someone from the Southeast?
You don't rule out possibilities because you have no way of knowing what will happen at the time, at the critical moment. But in my opinion, I think what happened during Obasanjo can also happen now, depending certainly of the person and from where he's coming. So I think that is possible, and the issue of zoning and rotation is paramount now in our political system, although it's not in our constitution, is always taking into consideration, one, the matter of who should be the president of Nigeria comes to be discussed. So there are a substantial number of people who think that it is the right time that the Southerner should be the president for Nigeria. There are so many reasons.
It's going to be a bit complicated because, again, as I've been told, in 2010, when the late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua died, and there were consultations about the succession of Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, the records have it that the North supported Dr. Jonathan for stability to take the position at that time. Even though there were some people within the North who wanted President Jonathan to resign, even as vice president, so that someone else who was from the North could take up the mantle of power. But at the end, what happened happened. And it was also reported that that was based on the agreement that he would serve just one term. Of course, that became contentious. And then in 2014, even people like yourself said, well, you're trying to break the gentleman's agreement here. And therefore, you switched support away from him. But this time, it's not so clear-cut, is it? Because you have candidates from the North who still want to contest even in 2023. Just as you say, you know, it should come from the South. So the Northern elders are going to have a tough task, aren't they?
Well, we will, but I think majority of them are of the opinion that it is time that the next president should come from the South. The elders I'm talking of, and also people in authority. But you can't rule out possibility of having some people to disagree with them. This is a country, I mean, a region of 55% of the total population of Nigeria. They can't all think alike. But certainly, I think majority in the North are in support of a presidential candidate and a president from the South.
The position, it appears now, is that if it is to come from the South, the zone in the South that hasn't had the opportunity to be president under the current system is the Southeast.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of clamor
Yes.
that the next president should come from there.
Yes.
Do you think that is a viable idea, given everything that you know about the political situation?
Well, you know, presidential zoning and rotation on presidential candidate is based on North-South dichotomy. It's not based on 6 geopolitical zones. It is based on North-South dichotomy. As long as the person is from the South, regardless of from which of the geopolitical zone he comes, these people who believe that somebody from the South should be the president will still stick to their gun.
Do you think that they should be having conversations with those from the Southeast now, like they did with those from the Southwest in 1998, which produced President Obasanjo? Is that kind of conversation going on as we speak?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
Would you think that that kind of conversation should be going on?
Well, what do they say? The card is on the Southeastern people's desk, if you like. It's up to them to try to reach out. I'm a strong supporter of a president from the South after Buhari, and also if he can come from the Southeast, I have no problem. I will even support it. My quarrel is that this is not something that you just stay at home and think that people will come to your house and dash it to you. You have to show interest. You have to be serious You have to try to convince people that you are really up to the task. This is what, in my opinion, is missing from the Southeast. There is that desire on their part, but they are not exerting their position to manifest that desire to convince people that, look, they are really serious about it. I hope by making this statement, they will be awakened to their responsibilities.
Do you think, as some of the other people in the North have, some of them have said, that what should be a straightforward political negotiation is being complicated by the agitations in the Southeast, some calling that the Southeast should go its own way, the issue with Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB, and some groups in the North saying, look, the federal government should actually conduct a referendum for them. And if at the end of the day, then so be it. Is that conversation poisoning the atmosphere of this kind of conversation you're talking about?
There is this uncertainty in Nigeria about the position of the Southeast, because it is surprising to many people, including people like me. You know, during the First Republic, I was in Nepal, in alliance with the NCNC. And also, during the Second Republic, I was in MPN, and closer to Ekemi, Alice Ekemi. There's doubts, because this Nnamdi Kanu, who ordinarily, to me, will not be a good candidate for the governorship of any of the southeastern states, is now claiming the attention and support of prominent people in the Southeast. Is making people to doubt if the Southeast is really ready to produce a credible candidate that will have Nigeria as a whole in his heart of hearts. That doubt is there, no doubt about it.
Let me bring you back to the North and the fact that the historical records show that the North has been or has held power for most of Nigeria's independence. Not leaders from the North, both in the military and the civilian leaders, have held power. But that paradoxically, many of the statistics show that the North is still lacking in many things. Infrastructure, out-of-school children, the Almajiri phenomenon, amongst others. Of course, newer things have joined, banditry, cattle rustling, and all of that. What do you think is responsible for that? Is there something responsible for that, you know, we're in charge, but at home?
Most of the people who came to power, even though from the North, were there without a pro-North agenda. They are there with their pro-themselves agenda. They pursued agenda that was entirely personal to them. This is the reason why, in the end, the North has very little to show for their being in power today. This is the reason why you have a lot of Almajiris and so on. Even in the political parties, you don't see a manifesto produced by a political party with a program that will address these obvious shortcomings in Nigerian situation, the Almajiris, the poverty, lack of education, and so on. No program. And this is the reason why I belong to a group which felt that next time it is the program of a candidate that should attract our votes. What he has for us as a part of this country, if he becomes a president, what is he going to do to address our problems? Because they exist. And they are national problems. Lack of education, lack of job, and so on. So I think this time around, people will begin to insist that whoever is coming to contest for the presidency of Nigeria will need to produce his own program, not northern program, but a national program that will address problems in the north that are known to everybody. Not to take the northern support for granted. What are they going to do? What is he going to do to address the problems in the north as part of his national program?
As you say that, some people wonder, what then are the governors doing who are from the north? They are in charge of jurisdictions in the north. Do you think at that level, I mean, not the president now, but at the level of the governors, they too are having the same difficulty? They are northerners, they are governing parts of the north, but they don't have a northern agenda. They don't have a development agenda.
There's no doubt about that. I don't think anybody will doubt you or will argue with you on this. Go to every state and find out the thinking of the people. They have complained with their governors because the governors are not addressing their problem. We have this problem of unemployment in the north. It's easy for the governors to produce a program. The money they are spending can be utilized to address some of these problems. Create employment opportunities, create programs to educate majority of the people, create how to integrate the Almajiris into the society. The issue of Almajiri has a long history. It came with the arrival of Usman Dan Fodio into the scene, and he was a religious leader, so he sold the idea of Islamic education, and at that time it was very relevant. And this is the reason why you have Almajiris, because people at that time voluntarily sent their children to Islamic schools so that they can get Islamic education. There was no Western education to compete with Islamic education at that time. Now is a different situation. So people who rule in the state will need to produce programs for their respective states that will address the issues that are bedeviling the people of their states. I think next election we'll see something like an attempt to rectify this shortcoming, because people in the state will begin to ask their indigents who are coming as candidates, what do you have in your mind for us to address our problem?
Now, I've raised that because, of course, even the North claims to be marginalized as well in the scheme of things, that they don't get what they ought to get. And then that brings me to the general issue of marginalization. Which school of thought do you belong to, Alhaji Akesa? Is it the one that says everybody can claim to be marginalized? Or really that there are some parts of Nigeria that have a cogent argument to say that they are being marginalized or that they have been marginalized?
There is marginalization intentionally. There is also a marginalization that is not done intentionally. Marginalization in the North is not done intentionally by people who govern the North. It is the way they came to power. A lot of them came to power because of the money they can afford to dish out. And unfortunately, in Nigeria today, the political system is such that political parties don't even have programs. Look at the PDP, APC now. You can't say this is the program they have for Nigeria or for regions. So, like I said before, next time people will begin to ask questions, what do you have for us? Because we voted for people before. Our situation did not change for the better. This question, because people are becoming there are more educated people now in the North, in spite of our backwardness, than they were before. And also they interact with the uneducated ones among them. And this question of not seeing something done for us does not require an education. If people live in the society and they know when they don't have drinking water, they know. When the agriculture is not cared for, they know. So it's an easy thing now for people to know. Before, no. But now, people will begin to ask, people who are contesting election, what do you have for us? And after some time, if they didn't deliver, they'll come out and cry. I pray that all of us, you and me, will stay to the next election, and we'll see this playing out at that time.
Well, one of the things the North seems to have gotten, at least from President Buhari, if not the governors, is that, because I remember that the last time I spoke to you, you talked about oil, Nigeria's oil, and who could be considered an oil-producing state, and who could be, and all of that. We had that discussion. But now, under the revised Petroleum Industry Act and the readjustments to the NNPC and so on, a large chunk of funds is now being voted for oil exploration in the North. And if it turns out, as some are suspecting, that the North has abundance of oil reserves, oil is not going anywhere anytime soon, so could that be a windfall? Could that also alter what we have talked about now for the better? If the North also produces oil now, could that make the North less hostile, for example, to the arguments about derivation and all that?
Well, the idea about funding for exploration and so on, if I'm wrong, if I'm not wrong, did not emanate from the bill submitted by the President. It came up from the members of the National Assembly. And this is the kind of thing that I'm saying, that people now have begun to ask, particularly here in the North, what do we get out of all these things? Like you mentioned from the beginning, we rule this country more than the rest of the country in terms of time. Now, what did our position as rulers turn out to be in terms of advantage to the North? These questions are being asked, and there will be more, they will ask more in the future. The issue of oil. In the future, I know that more money will be devoted for the oil exploration in northern Nigeria. And also, I think people who are coming to vie for the position of presidential.
Thank you so much for watching this video together with me. Like I said before, if it is your first time of coming across my YouTube channel and you like what I do, please subscribe, put on your notification bell, Share this video, leave your comment in the comment section. You are free to criticize, but let us do it always constructively. Remain blessed. I appreciate your massive support and I love and cherish each and every one of you. Until I meet you again in my next video, for now we say bye-bye.